It is disrespectful to go to a place and try to change it just so it suits your narrative. But don't come to Russia with this mindset of, oh, I will figure it out. No. Use your mind. But if you're one of those people that posts on the wall, I'm ashamed to be American, why should Russian people welcome you into the country? So they come here and then maybe their Russian wife is paying all the bills. Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, Afro Lev, roaring truths to preserve your pretty voice. If you are here for the first time, I hope you enjoyed the channel and I hope we strike a chord and you will like, subscribe and comment only if you want to. It is absolutely free. And for those of you that are here for the second, third, fifth time, please feel free to support the channel by sending a super thanks, or if you check the description, there is a link to the PayPal. Thank you for being here. Now, getting straight into the topic. As the title of the video states, I'm going to be discussing what expats that come to Russia should not do. If you are thinking about coming to Russia, or perhaps you are currently in Russia, I am going to be telling you a few things which I have noticed that I feel that expats should stop doing. Now, this is for your own protection, and it is also for the greater good, because I will be discussing some things that might be ridiculous and some things that might have been common sense, as well as some things that you probably did not know. Getting into the first one, I am consistently seeing an abundance of people coming into Russia and denouncing their country. The other day, I looked on Telegram and I noticed that a person that was in my community posted on their wall, or whatever it may be on Telegram, ashamed to be American. The people that come to Russia with this mindset of downing their country and then promoting the Russian dream, they cannot be trusted. Simply because a man that denounces the place that he is from is not a trustworthy person. If you come to Russia, don't come to Russia with an agenda. Don't come to Russia to spite your country. Come to it because you truthfully love the place. A lot of people come here, they denounce the US, they denounce the UK, they denounce everything else, and they basically regard their own country as trash. But that is still your country. I am from Zimbabwe. Is my country the best country in the world? Definitely not. But it is where I'm from. And it is the grassroots. It is a place where I grew up. And it is a place where I'm from. It is my country. There's no need to come to Russia and then start denouncing your country just because you think that Russian people will give you some sort of love because you are downing the US or you're downing the UK or you're downing Poland, whatever it may be. Share your experiences. But this whole idea of trying to destroy the place that you're from is ridiculous because you don't know. Maybe one day the law will change. And then you are here denouncing your country. Speak the truth. Say things that are true. But if you're one of those people that posts on the wall, I'm ashamed to be American, why should Russian people welcome you into the country? Because I'm sure if something were to happen, you would basically flip it backwards or flip it upside down and do the exact same thing. Because if you can do that to your own country, what of a country that you moved to and then you realize you don't like it? Don't do that. You're setting yourself up for failure. Share truths, dismantle points, be honest, be the type of person that loves to share truth. As we do here, we roar truths to preserve your pretty voice. I am never going to denounce my own country, no matter how bad my country is. What about the people that talk badly about your country? If you're the type of person to speak ill about your country, how will you defend your country from the people that speak ill about your country? Do not do that. Come to Russia because you love the place. There's no agenda. You don't need to paint it as the promised land and your land as nothing, even though Russia is the promised land. But don't denounce your country. That's basically what I'm trying to put out. Another thing is a lot of expats come here and they're not prepared. Come here with a plan. I have a lot of expats texting me. They're like, oh, Andy, I want to come and start a farm. I want to build an apartment in Moscow. I want to do all of these things. You can't realistically do all of these things with a lack of money. And a lot of people think, oh, it's a lot cheaper than the States, so it's a lot cheaper than the UK, but they don't plan stuff ahead. So they come here, and then maybe their Russian wife is paying all the bills. And then they're struggling and they're complaining about how they only have online classes and they cannot get a job in Moscow, but they didn't plan. You need to plan ahead. Don't be fooled by the hype and how people say it's extremely easy. A country has its perfect points, but it also has its negative points. You can't come into a place. Actually, there's no such thing as perfection. I retract that statement. There are good things and bad things in every country. As I digress, you cannot come into a place with no plan. This whole idea of just running away to a foreign land and then just letting things come as they go and go as they come is a ridiculous way of looking at things. Please prepare ahead. If you find yourself coming to Russia for a girl and the girl is paying every bit of the bills, she's handling everything, and you're basically on your ass the whole day because you can't find a job, you failed to plan. You need to put things into practice, put things into perspective, don't rush. And if you're the type of person that does not like to plan and you're spontaneous, make sure you're a very determined individual, because you want to be the type of person that is not living off of people when you move to a foreign country. You need to be set, you need to be stable. And the truth about jobs in Russia is it is not as easy as people propose it to be. A lot of the people that are here are English teachers, interpreters, translators, or they are extremely educated and they speak Russian, so they are spoiled for choice. You can't come to Russia and expect to get an extremely amazing job if you don't speak Russian. That's not going to happen. Or if you don't speak English, because there are a lot of good English teaching jobs here, especially for Americans, Englishmen, native speakers. They can receive very high paying jobs. But don't come to Russia with this mindset of, oh, I will figure it out. No. Use your mind. I'm saying this because I see a lot of bloggers, I see a lot of general people, even some of the people that I meet in my day-to-day life who don't have a plan. And then years later, they're complaining about how they're broke. Yes, because you left the comfort of your own home to move to another country with no consolidatory plan. There was no plan in place. Plan ahead and don't jump at the opportunity without doing the prior research. Another thing that I have noticed that expats are doing, which is setting them back a few paces, is isolation. Do not isolate yourself in Russia. Immerse yourself in the culture. As an African, I see other Africans, they come to Russia, they only hang out with other Africans, they don't learn the language, they stay in the university, they speak their language, they eat their own food, they make sure that they maintain the whole mindset of being African even in Russia, which is nice, preserve your culture. But you also need to immerse yourself with the people, the language, the culture, because you will not be fully comfortable if you don't at least try to assimilate yourself into Russian society. It is embarrassing if you spend a large number of years in Russia and you cannot speak any Russian at all. It's embarrassing because you are surrounded, you are immersed by the language, you're immersed by the people. If you can't even speak a lick of Russian, it makes you look lazy and it makes you look like you are not determined or you do not respect the place. And that is why a lot of people are targeted because they don't respect the place. They don't take the time to learn the language. They come in, they look at it as a gig, a job, and they forget to involve all of these other things that require attention. You need to at least try to immerse yourself. If you don't speak the language well, that's fine. We're not all linguists. But at least try to understand something involved with the culture. Learn about the people. Learn how to carry yourself in Russian society as a sign of respect. It is disrespectful to go to a place and try to change it just so it suits your narrative. I was looking at the news the other day and I saw that there is an American city being built. And I was like, why would you build an American city or town, whatever they're calling it, in the middle of Russia? You left America and came to Russia. Why must you somehow engorge the lifestyle in the American way of thinking? It doesn't make any sense. You come to a place because you're looking for something different. Respect the people, get to the place, learn about something, learn the language, go to a gallery, experience the life in Russia because you want to leave with something. I lived in China for 7 years. I'm fluent in Chinese. I graduated from a Chinese university. I worked there as well. And I have some friends that don't speak a lick of Chinese, but they were there for 15 years. 15 years. And if I were to ask them about the Qing dynasty, or if I were to ask them about something that involves the Chinese language, they would fail dismally. And that is extremely disappointing because you come into somebody's country, respect that country, show some respect for the people, and allow yourself to learn something new. I interview people all over Moscow because I don't know things. You need to be able to be humble and allow people to educate you. And if you're in a foreign land, you are going to get extremely educated about people's culture without even trying. So I feel like it's just a cover for your own laziness if you don't at least try to push yourself to be immersed by the culture. And, speaking as an African, I also see that mistake. People are just surrounded by clubs and partying with Africans, partying with other people from their country, and, just basically making this closed community, cocooning themselves without actually experiencing the country. You will not fully assimilate, and it would be such a waste if you don't allow yourself to at least feel the place and the culture. Another thing, do not come to Russia with the mindset of, oh, I'm going to get a Russian wife, and then I'm going to get a visa, and then I'm going to live happily ever after. A lot of people go to Russia or come to Russia just to find a wife to get a permit. The law has changed so much to the extent that the government is not really buying this act of, oh, I'm in love with the foreigner and I want to settle down. It is a lot more difficult, especially if you are not from any of the countries that are under the new decree, where it's like you skip the language exam. For example, I'm Zimbabwean. I have to write the language exam. It doesn't matter that I'm married to a Russian woman. My wife is Russian. But I need to write the exam. So don't come with this whole trickery mindset or this nefarious mindset of, oh, I'm just going to get a Russian girl and I'm going to get a visa. No, the government is way more intelligent than that. They make this more difficult. And even for the people that are coming on this new decree, just because they're like, oh yeah, I'm just going to settle down and then a Russian woman is going to be my wife and it's going to be absolutely perfect and she will be my ticket to freedom. After that temporary residence permit they give you, you will then need to get the actual permit and you still will need to write a Russian exam. You need to think of it from a stance that you actually love the place. And if you come for a woman, understand all of the things that are involved in pushing yourself to make sure that you do things the legal way. Don't come with the mindset of, oh, I'm going to bang up a Russian woman and then I'm going to live here forever and everything is going to be hunky-dory. Actually come to the place because you love the place. I've seen this a lot, especially in my comments. Like, oh, I'm just going to marry a Russian woman. It's not that easy anymore. It was. But then the government realized, oh, so that's what you guys are doing. You don't even love the country. You don't even love the woman that you say that you're with. You just want to get a free meal ticket. You want to leave the country that you classify as terrible and come to Russia. And then by some chance, you just want to live there forever and possibly even live off the Russian woman that you have married. It works like this. It definitely happens. I've seen this with my own eyes. I've seen people that basically look at Russian women as a meal ticket. The Russian woman handles all of the bills. And as an African man, I find this extremely weird and strange because whenever a woman is basically providing for the family, it is like blasphemy. I'm from Zimbabwe. I was born in Botswana. A woman providing for the family is like blasphemy if the man is fully capable of finding income. So this whole idea of just looking at Russian women as meal tickets, it's something that's going to get you in trouble because the rules are tightening and the government knows what people are doing. They see through the lies. So come to Russia with the true love of the place and also understand you're not going to dodge that language exam. You may dodge the first stage, but if you want permanent residence, you're going to learn at least a bit of Russian to get there. Or if you want to be a citizen, you're not going to be a citizen and know zero Russian. Before, maybe. Before it was a lot easier. But the laws are changing. They're tightening. They're tightening. Of course, there are always ways around it. But I mean, for us average Joes, the ones that come to a country, right, and we actually want to live here forever. We come to Russia, we want to live here forever. There are these steps that are put into place to make sure that the people that come here are actually genuine. So do not come to Russia with the ideology of you just using a Russian woman as a meal ticket. It's not going to work. And I feel like it is extremely embarrassing as an expat if your wife is basically paying for everything and you can do something about it. Possibly, let's say if you're a tourist, it's okay. It's understandable. But the people that come in and then, I don't know, just become a sugar baby or whatever it may be and let their woman take care of everything. I feel like that is so crude, that is so putrid. I don't see why you would do that to a female. And you may think that it is normal, but even in the Russian culture, society is going to shun her because they expect their men to provide. And it's like, why would somebody marry somebody from miles away just to get somebody that she needs to babysit? Please plan ahead. And if you're in a tough situation, get a plan. Nothing is perfect. I also came here and I was kind of confused. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I found a way because you need to be really strict with yourself. Just because it is proposed as the promised land, it doesn't mean that you don't have to work. Even if you have to go online, if you can't get a work permit, get an online job, but not like a basic online job. Try to get as many hours as you can. Work every moment so that you can at least be a good representation of your country. This whole idea of foreign men coming into Russia and then their wives taking care of them is just an absolute disappointment, especially if they're African and they just happen to be Zimbabwean or Botswana. I look at them like, you have really let us down. Now they're going to think that we're like this. No. Provide for your spouse if you are coming to Russia. Another thing that I've noticed, another mistake that expats make here is that they create their own hierarchies for themselves. There is this mindset that just because of the new decree that Americans are more valuable, or Englishmen are more valuable, or people that fall under that decree are more valuable. The life is easier for you. It definitely is. But it doesn't mean that you have to treat other foreigners as lesser than. I see a lot of bloggers, a lot of people that I even tried to work with, have this inflated ego. And they have this mindset of, oh, I'm from this place and I'm greater than you. To the point that they even speak down upon you. Yes, I've been in situations where I was regarded as the lesser being, you know, or I was regarded as somebody that is not intelligent enough to have a very intellectual conversation, which was ridiculous. I will not base it on my race. I'm not somebody that is a part of the victimizing narrative. But I will base it on the fact that I've noticed that a lot of people look at Africans as like the lower tier of foreigners in Russia. And this isn't the Russian people. The Russian people look at us as the same people, right? And I feel like black people especially, people do not care about a black dude walking across the street. There's no beef with black people here in Russia. There is no beef, right? But then I feel like a lot of these people from these countries that are classified as amazing or high class or upper echelon, those people come with a hierarchy mindset to the point that they're even belittling you when setting up interviews because they think that you are lesser than because you're African. Don't come to Russia thinking that you're untouchable. Russian people view you the same. I hear a lot of people telling me, oh yeah, well, the dating life is easier when you're from so-and-so, this country and that country. Oh yeah, you have more benefits, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, we still go to the exact same immigration office. There's no favoritism. They don't look at you and think, oh, you are from, I don't know, you're from England, so we're going to make your process move faster. No, everybody's treated as equal under the law. Russia does not discriminate people. The foreigners discriminate against other foreigners, but Russia does not discriminate. So do not come with an imperialist mindset of you conquering a land just because you're from a different place. As soon as you land in Russia, you are an expat. You are in the same bracket as Dick and Harry and Margaret and Sarah. You are the same bracket. You're in the same loop. You're an expat. And I feel like if you understand what I'm talking about and if you listen carefully to all the things that I'm saying, you will avoid a lot of pain. And for the last point, I just want to go back to the whole planning ahead thing. Don't come to Moscow first if you're not stable, if you're not financially stable. A lot of people say, I'm going to move to Russia. They move to Moscow. And they're like, oh my God, the rent is so expensive. Oh my God, the food is so expensive. Oh my God, everything is so difficult. If you're somebody that's coming alone, you need to understand what exactly you're looking for, what job you can get, because the real estate here is, it's crazy. Even to buy an apartment, I bought an apartment with my wife a few years ago. The pricing, crazy. You know, it's not as cheap as one may think. It's cheaper than other places, don't get me wrong. But you need to come with a plan, especially if you're going to live here. Sort out your accommodation, sort out other things. Don't come here with the mindset of, I know what I'm doing. Make sure you have enough money, especially if you're coming on your own. There's no shame in starting in Yaroslavl or Siberia. I have so many friends that have farms, that went to the south, that don't live in the so-called prestigious cities, but they live very comfortably and they can afford it and they actually make a lot of money and they can spend it on their family and it's extremely comfortable. Please pay attention to these points. I hope you watch this video if you're coming to Russia or you're in Russia. And as always, we are roaring truths to preserve your pretty voice. Ciao.